Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Gurudev. So we're discussing the first part of the class, tasting Bhakti Ras and Manjari Bhav Sadhana. So we come to an interesting topic about the Siddha Swarup, Siddha Deha. And there's two examples of great transcendental personalities that wanted to enter Krishna Lila that couldn't enter Krishna Lila. One was a man and one was a lady. And they both had some problem. One, the man had Purusha Abhiman, so he was prohibited from entering the Lila in that form. And the lady had Aishwarya Bhav. She couldn't develop Gopi Bhav. So who were they? Who was the person? The man was Shiva. Shiva came to Vrindavan to enter Raslila, and the gopis stopped him and said, "You can't come into Raslila because it's only for Prakriti Bhav, for Gopi Bhav, and you have Purusha Bhav, you're a man, and you can't get in." So he said, how can I have darshan on Raslila? You have to have a Gopi Swarup. How I get a Gopi Swarup? Well, you pray to Yogamaya and Vrindadevi and Krishna, and maybe he'll give you a Gopi Swarup. So they took him to Mansarovar and bathed him over there, Yogamaya Purnamasi, and he got a Gopi Rup, and he came to Raslila. And then he entered Raslila, and he got the name Gopi Shore. And he was worshipped from that day forward. He was worshipped. He surrendered to the gopis, he adopted the Gopi Bhav, and he adopted the Gopi Swarup, so he entered the Raslila, had darshan of Radha and Krishna. Now the lady that tried to come to Vrindavan was Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi is in Vaikuntha. She's Narayan Patni. She's the Rani of Mahishi, Rani of Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi. So she came and she wanted to enter Raslila. She couldn't even get on this side of the Yamuna. She was stopped on the other side of the Yamuna. Govishwar, Shiva he got right to the entrance, or else he came right to the entrance of Amshivat. And then the gopis stopped and said, "Hey, wait a minute." So he had more luck. But Lakshmi was stopped on the other side of the river. Other side, opposite Keshigat, there's a forest called Bailvan. Lakshmi Van or Bailvan. Bail is a type of tree that's sacred to Shiva. It's called Vilva Patra or Bail Patra. Bail fruit is a big round fruit, orange inside. It's good for belly. It's good tasting also. Bail juice. So the Bail Patra, Bilva Patra used for Shiva Puja. So Lakshmi came there, and all the gopis and Purnamasi stopped her, and then said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "I want to do Raslila." And so then they said, you have to get the permission of the gopis. And so how to do that? You have to follow a gopi. You have to follow Lita Vishaka. You have to tell Gopi Bhav. You have to become a gopi. What do you mean gopi? What's gopi? Gopi means that you give up your husband and run spend all night with Krishna. She said, "What? I have my Patni Brata, I have my Sati Brata, my Pati Brata. How can I do that? I'm a married wife of Narayan. How can I give up my husband? That's a dharmic. You're asking me to give up a dharma?" The gopi said, "Yeah, Sarva Dharma. Haven't you heard of Bhagavad Gita?" Haven't you heard 1866 Bhagavad Gita? Sarva Dharma Prataja. And she said, "I can't do that." And they said, "Okay." And they said, "Let us ask you another question. Can you milk cows?" They said, "No way. We don't do that. I'm a queen." They said, "Can you make gobar? Can you collect the gobar and mix it with busa? Collect the gobar and mix it with busa and make patties, for cooking rotis?" "No, I can't do that." So they said, "Well, I don't know. I don't think you're going to have much chance to meet with Krishna, because you can't you're not surrendered to the gopis, you won't follow the gopis. You're attached to your queenhood, being the wife of Narayan, and you're attached to Dharma and all these things, so you can't become a gopi, you can't enter Krishna Lila. So she said, what can I do? They said, well, we heard the Shruti-charis and Rishi-charis, they did austerities. They did austerities for thousands of years to enter Rasa Lila. We read about that, we heard about that from Gargarishi and other rishis. We heard that the Shruti-charis and Rishi-charis, Dandakranya sages, they did austerities. So Lakshmi Devi, we suggest you do austerities, do tapa. Maybe by tapasya, maybe Krishna will favor you and give you Gopi Bhav and you enter Rasa. Now just see how difficult it is to get a spiritual body to serve Krishna in Vrindavan. Shiva got it because he's a great Vaishnava and he surrendered to the Gopi's Bhav and mood and became a Gopi with their Gopi Bhav and Gopi Sharir. So yeah, he got a Siddha Deha and a Siddha Bhav. But Lakshmi Devi, she already has a Siddha Deha, she has a Siddha Swarup. She's a Shakti of Narayan and she's a lady, but she didn't have the Bhav. So she had Siddha Deha, beautiful. No one's more beautiful than Lakshmi Devi except except Radharani. But she didn't have Siddha Bhav. So to enter Rasa Lila, to enter Krishna Lila and Braj, you have to have Siddha Deha and Siddha Bhav. Siddha Bhav means Gopi Bhav. So this whole discussion of this tasting Bhakti Ras and Manjari Bhav Sadhana, or Manjari Bhav Sadhana, we're discussing about this. We're reading from this book. It says, you can't participate in Krishna's Leela with this material body, you have to attain a new body. That's the Siddha Deha, spiritual body. Mm-hmm. 6. Yeah, okay. Hard to repeat. Close. The Siddha Deha or Siddha Rupa is a meditative body, sometimes called Bhava Maya body, a body developed and used in meditation. Jiva Goswami describes the Siddha Deha as, in Bhakti Ras Sindhu commentary, 1-2-295, Antas Chinta Abhishta Tat Sevopayogi Deha. It's a Deha, it's a body which is developed internally by thinking according to your desire. Abhishta, Antas Chintita Abhishta. Antas Chintita means internally thinking, meditating in your mind on what your desired through Seva Deha. Seva Deha means Bhav Deha, means Manjari Bhav Kinkari Deha. Siddha Deha. It is a meditative body the Bhakta thinks of it, conceives of inhabiting and living in and acting in while participating in the Nitya Lila of Radha Krishna. The Siddha Rupa is the eternal form one will inhabit in the eternal Lila. In Kriti Sandarbha number 10, Jiva Goswami quotes the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, 14th verse. He says that Vishnu, Narayan, or Krishna in the spiritual world, expands from its body unlimited, ananta rupam, unlimited spiritual forms. And with each one of those forms, Krishna or Narayan enjoys pastimes. When one of those forms, one of those spiritual forms is given to the liberated soul. After the devotee attains liberation, which for Gaudiya Vaishnava means prem, Krishna or Narayan, if he goes to Vaikuntha, or Krishna he goes to Vrindavan, will give that person an eternal body to live in the spiritual world. The body that one meditates on during sadhana will be the same body that one resides eternally after death. This is confirmed in 8.6 of Gita. Yam yam vavisram bhavam jaja janti kaliram tam tam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Sada tad bhava bhavita. That bhav that you're always cultivating, sada tad bhav, that bhav, that gopi bhav, that manjari bhav you're always meditating on, desiring, praying for, thinking of, and the Siddha Deha thinking of, that you'll attain, that condition, that situation, you'll attain after death, if you have attained prema before death. In Raghavardhani Chandrika, second part, verse 7, Vishnu Chakravarti explains, at the time of death, one appears in the Siddha Rup as a Gopi and Braj. He explains that this is a body made of consciousness and bliss. Chidananda Maya Gopika Tanu. Chidananda Maya Gopika Tanu. Padma Puran explains a verse that says one should think of oneself as a resident of Vrindavan, like a gopi, having a charming, youthful form with a delightful appearance, endowed with beauty and youth, skilled in various arts, and suitable for enjoyment of Krishna. Suitable for service of Krishna, we should say. Because we don't enjoy with Krishna. Because Manjari's Bhav is not Sambhoga Chatmika, it's Tad Bhava Chatmika. We desire to relish the bhav and feelings of Radharani and our Yuteshwari when they're enjoying with Krishna and serving them. I read from this. This is some discussion from a book about Jiva and Siddha Deha and different subjects. This is by Satyanarayana Das Babaji Maharaj. And he makes a nice point to the description. Now this is called Pearls of Wisdom, Volume 1. It's a new book. It's questions and answers. It's really good. I guess he's been lecturing for 40 years. So he has quite a lot of questions and answers. So they're compiling them in books and they're really good. This is called Pearls of Wisdom, Volume 1. Pearls of Wisdom, Volume 1. You have this book? Yeah, it's great. But some things are different. Yeah, these topics are so deep. So he explains that we're a jiva. We're like, I'll give you an example. Let me just read it and I'll make our comments on it. Here's a question that's asked. What happens when sadhanas return? It says returned. What happens to sadhanas when they attain Goloka Vrindavan? So, English editor must be this coming for. Is there any difference between the sadhanas and nityasiddhas? What do you say? Okay. Does this mean that sadhanas who were once to Tasta Shakti in the material world are now Antaranga Shakti? Yes or no? No. The sadhanas do not become Antaranga Shakti. They remain Tatastha, but they're imbued with Antaranga or Bhakti Shakti. Thus they function like nityasiddhas because it is Antaranga Shakti that inspires them. Ontologically or transcendentally, spiritually, metaphysically, whatever, distinction between sadhana siddha and nitya siddha remains. Although from a practical point of view, there's no difference. So, there's more things on the read also. The spiritual body is Siddha, means it's existing, and it becomes one with the Atma. There is no duality between the Atma and the spiritual body, as in the case of conditioned state. Like in a conditioned state, we're an Atma inside a material body. And there's a big difference between the Atma, the consciousness and conscious principle Atma, Jiva, and the material body. But in the spiritual world, the difference between the Siddha Deha and the Atma is not there. There's difference in Shakti, potency. One is Antaranga Shakti, one is Tatastha Shakti. It explains, like the analogy it's used by Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, in a different context. But you can think of, you have an iron rod put in fire becomes fire. It becomes like fire. It gives off light. The iron gets so hot it gives off light like fire, and it's hot, it can burn like fire. So in this case, the iron rod is the Atma, and it's surrounded by the spiritual body. So the iron rod and the fire is emanating are one, there's no difference. This analogy he describes this later. In Paramava Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami explains the characteristic of the Atma in detail. He does not say that the Siddha Srupa is within the Atma. Krishna gives us Siddha Deha when one becomes qualified to enter the spiritual world. And the Bhagavatam describes 8 different personalities who attain Siddha Deha. Narada Muni, and Dhruva Maharaj, and Ajamil, and Gajendra, and Yayati, and Agasura, and so many people attain Siddha Deha as is described. The Tatastha Shakti Jiva, upon liberation, does not change into Swarup Shakti. Even before getting the Siddha Deha, the Tatastha becomes imbued, mixed with, or touched by, or empowered by, how do you say imbued, whatever imbued means, becomes touched by Swarup Shakti. The Siddha Deha is not a physical body, it's a bhav body. The oneness between the Tatastha Atma and the Siddha Deha, which is Antaranga Shakti, there is a oneness because Tatastha does not experience anything exterior to itself due to its Sthayi Bhav. You have to keep in mind, however, that the Atma and the Siddha Deha are not gross objects like our material bodies. Both are conscious and subtle. Imagine you are made of iron. You're made of iron. Iron is Atma. And it's been put in fire. Then imagine you're wearing a dress made of fire. Would you feel different from or one with the fire? So your Atma, and now you're mixed in, your Atma is Tatastha Shakti. It's eternally Tatastha Shakti. Krishna has 3 Shaktis, Bahiranga Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, Tatastha Shakti. So the Jiva is in the Tatastha Shakti. Now the Tatastha Shakti becomes in the fire of Antaranga Shakti. So you're wearing a dress, your body, you have a dress made of fire. Imagine you're wearing a dress made of fire. So you, the wearer of the dress is the Atma, the Tatastha Shakti. The fire is Antaranga Shakti. So would you feel different or one with the fire? You feel one with the fire. So the Atma feels one with the Siddha Deha. That's what he's trying to explain. But there's difference. But the Siddha Dehas are expanded directly from Krishna in the spiritual world. They're not manifested in the material world, they're manifested in the spiritual world. So the spiritual body, Siddha Dehas, all are made of Antaranga Shakti. But we're eternal. 2:12 Gita, 2:24 Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist, so we're eternal existing. So the Atma leaves this world and leaves his body, it goes to the spiritual world, it gets a spiritual body. Just like the Atma enters this expansion of Mahavishnu enters the material world, gets material body. So now the Atma enters the spiritual world, gets a spiritual body. What's the big surprise there? What's the animating principle of this material body? The Atma. So the animating principle of the spiritual body is the Atma. But he's surrounded with the spiritual energy. Now the Atma is surrounded with material energy, which is unconscious. Material energy is not conscious. But the Antanga Shakti is conscious. Are you confused? Okay, let's confuse you more. Now listen to this. This is good. The question is, if the Siddha exists in the spiritual realm before being given to a devotee like Narada Muni, how is it existing? Satyanarayana Babaji says, the spiritual body exists in the spiritual world like a 3D picture or a hologram. And it is actuated, is like turned on or starts activated when it's given to a devotee. So everyone that talks about the spiritual body, because when I asked my Gurudev, I said, what are the spiritual bodies doing in the spiritual world? He said they're being, they're chilling. He didn't say that. He doesn't know that kind of lingo. What he actually said, he said that Siddha are not Jalarup. They're not Jalarup means stone. Jala means stone, non-living. He said they're conscious, they're consciousness, but they're not moving. They're just waiting for you to enter there. And everyone says like that. They're there because Krishna, just like, for example, there's a discussion with Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi, I think it's in 12th Canto of Bhagavatam. What happens when all the jivas get liberated from the material world?
New jivas will come and take this.
New devotees will be, new jiva will
Come and take this.
No. Like here's a hypothetical question. Because sometimes it says that when Lord Chaitanya came, he liberated all the jivas from the material world. So that means the material world comes, but the material world is eternal, and there's always living entities here. So in the discussion of Markandeya Rishi in 12th Canto Bhagavatam, the Sanskrit verses say, the Vishnu expands, emits more jivas from its body. So then people say, it means he creates more jivas? How can he, because the jivas aren't created, jivas are eternal. Jivas, God, jivas, time, it's all nitya. So he doesn't create, he emits them. Because that's the meaning of Bhagavan is Ananta. Ananta means unlimited. It means he has unlimited jivas in his body, Mahavishnu. And if the whole universe gets liberated, and he has to fill up the universe again, at the next Shristi, next manifestation, then where are the jivas going to come from? They come from his body. He emits, they're dormant, they're in his body, in a dormant state, and he emits them. So there's unlimited jivas in the body of Mahavishnu. You eliminate, and there's as many universes as, you take a 100 kilo bag of sorso beej, mustard seeds. Each one of those mustard seeds is the size of one universe. That's how many universes there are. Can you count how many mustard seeds there are in 100 kilos of bag of mustard seeds? Start today. Make it over 100,000 years or something. It's going to take a long time to count all those mustard seeds. Infinite universes. And each universe is Vishnu. I mean, it's inconceivable. So there's never going to be a condition, like some people say, well, if some great avatar comes, liberates everything, the universe will go empty. and you were so working or no jivas. No, it fell off again. It's amazing. So Siddha, there's millions of Siddhas there waiting for every jiva. It's not personally individually designated, but they're there when your time to get a Siddha is there. Appropriate Siddha will be given to you according to your meditation and according to the arrangement of Bhagavan and Guru. It's like the bodies inside Mahavishnu, they're like a hologram. They're not activated, they're inside him. Just resting. Okay. Jai Radhe Shyam. What's the difference between the transcendental body of a sadhana siddha Vaishnava and the original transcendental body of a Nitya Siddha Parishad? What's the difference? Quiz question. Sadhana Siddha, Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha Parishad and Sadhana Siddha, what's the difference?
They attain prem, sadhana siddha attain prem, and Nitya Siddha have already have prem.
No, what's the difference between your bodies?
Like Nitya Siddha can expand in infinity forms, and Sadhana Siddha is
No.
1,000.
There's no difference. Because Nitya Siddhas are made of Antaranga Shakti. In terms of ontology, they're made of Antaranga Shakti, and the sadhana is Antaranga Shakti, the Siddha Deha. But there's something called Kaya View Rup. Like the Sakhi Manjaris are directly expanded from the body of Radharani. And it says that in the Bhagavatam, all the bodies, all the spiritual bodies that the sadhana siddhas can get are expanded from Vishnu or Krishna. So there's some difference. Okay, that's enough confusion for today. The sadhana siddhas does not become Antaranga Shakti. They're imbued, they remain Tatastha, but they're imbued with Antaranga. This is a repeat from the previous part of the book. They're imbued with Antaranga or Bhakti Shakti. They function like Nitya Siddhas. It's the same, because the question is a question answer book, so he's giving the same answer earlier on the book. So in the spiritual world, your spiritual body is made of Antaranga Shakti, but you are Tatastha Shakti. The difference, however, there's no duality because Yama and Antaranga Shakti are both conscious. Amen. I didn't record it. That's funny. You have to give me a copy of that. You have to note the time. Okay, start again or something, whatever.